So I'm going to begin by just, first of all, welcoming all of you and thanking you for being here. It's really amazing to have people who want to learn more about life with cancer and what that can look like, and honestly, a little bit of like what it doesn't have to look like. So I have this whole feeling in my world that there are prescribed thoughts around what cancer looks like and what people think about people who have cancer, not in terms of thinking of them negatively, but just in terms of like how Hollywood and TV and books portray people who have cancer. And I'm kind of on a mission to dispel that myth. And at the same time as dispelling the myth, that it is always horrible and people are always not well and everybody's hair falls out and all of those things. I want to dispel those myths, but I also want to be able to create the opportunity for people like yourselves who have shown up here today to be able to be present in your own lives and create your own best life right now. Um, so we will talk about a few things like that are future related. And so if things get a little uncomfortable for you, I just invite you to take a breath. We're going to take one together here in a moment. Um, and just pause, and we're actually going to walk through an exercise on how to notice when things are happening and just see if you can settle. Everybody's at a different place in their, I don't call it a journey, I call it a walk. Everyone's at a different place in their walk with cancer. And so sometimes I have to remember that I'm 10 years out and I'm very comfortable in some of the conversations, and that they're not always comfortable for everyone else. And that's part of doing this workshop today, is to create tools and strategies for you to bring into your life so that you can find that comfort when you need it. So we are going to talk about how to help you ground yourself in the present moment. And we're going to go through some tools. We're going to do some real world, real time stuff. So the invitation is always, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you don't have to. But maybe you just want to be the observer of it, or just notice what it feels like for you, and maybe even think about why you don't want to do it. That's always a good question to ask yourself. But we are going to do some practices together to help with the understanding of that you can reduce your overwhelm and increase your peace of mind. And we are going to do an envisioning of future pacing activity. So we can talk about that when we get there, but just a heads up that, as we get grounded in present, it helps us to prepare ourselves for the future. And then again, practical tools and practices for resilience, calm, and hope, which I think is a beautiful gift, to be able to find calm and help yourself to move forward. So if you are comfortable with it, I'll invite you to just take a moment and get settled wherever you're seated. Maybe close your eyes. Not everybody likes to close their eyes. That's sort of a protection mechanism. So lesson number one, if you go somewhere and someone says, and you can close your eyes, if that doesn't feel good for you, you don't have to. You can instead soften your gaze, like just sort of blur out the screen, or you can look down. It's just really about finding what feels comfortable for you right now. So do whatever feels good for you. And we're just going to take a nice big breath in through our nose and a slow exhale out the mouth. And maybe drop your shoulders away from your ears. Maybe just notice your energy. Take another breath in through your nose and a slow exhale out your mouth. Maybe soften just a tiny bit more. And just one more breath in and a breath out. And so practice number one is just being able to connect with your breath. And when you connect with your breath, there's all kinds of magic happening in the background. But one of my favorite things about the breath is that wherever you are and whatever's going on, you can use your breath to help you come back to yourself. Sometimes it might be at a doctor's appointment if you're feeling overwhelmed. It might be at the grocery store because it's busy and that's overwhelming or frustrating or just life. It might just be a moment where you're feeling like, I don't understand why I'm feeling this way, and I'm just going to take a couple of breaths in and out. And what that helps is with settling your vagus nerve, which is a whole other conversation, but it just helps to settle all that energy in your body and to help you kind of come back to your own self. So thriving begins when you live fully in the present, but at the same time, you're holding space for the future you that you want to create. So let's take a moment here to address that concept of future. So future is sometimes challenging. There were times in my life when my husband would ask me what I wanted for dinner and I would cry because I couldn't even think that far into the future, let alone a couple of days or weeks or months or years. And that's okay. That's okay to have that feeling because it's a recognition of the work that you can do for yourself as you're moving forward. 1 hour, 1 day at a time. So when we create this space in the present, which is what we're going to move into, we can allow the opportunity to think about future pacing, about, okay, what am I doing tomorrow? Or what am I not doing tomorrow? And going down the road. So we're going to do an activity further on, but I feel like upfront, it's important to talk about future because for some people that's really a challenging piece. So, and in terms of this idea of holding space, that might not be a term that you're familiar with, but holding space is just being here without doing a whole lot of work. It's just allowing the opportunity for these pieces to come in. And so as you are present, you can hold space for that future piece of you that maybe you're not there yet, but you're creating that opportunity. So just in case you don't know me, how did I get here? How am I sitting in my house running workshops for amazing human beings? So 10 years ago, it'll be actually 11 in January, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at 43 years old. And that, needless to say, as I'm sure that you can all agree with, changed my life exponentially. But I want to fast forward to beyond I'm not going to walk through all of the stuff around what happened. I had a diagnosis and I had to figure out and did the things that I had to do. And was released from, treatment and rang the bell and thought that was going to be it. But part of metastatic cancer is that it can be a little bit sneaky. And so in early 2018, 3 years after my original diagnosis, I had to have my third cancer-related surgery. And needless to say, that was devastating. That was not the news that we wanted to get. So I had my surgery and I was home recovering and my body was healing, but I was really finding that I felt empty. I didn't know how to heal my soul. I didn't know how to console myself, how to navigate these feelings that I was having. I was happy. I had my husband, I had my kids, I was moving forward, but it was like this, when you take a picture and you put a filter on it, it was like that gray filter that softens everything, but it just felt like it was kind of dull. Felt like there had to be more than what I was experiencing. And I was stuck and I wanted to not be stuck. I felt not quite whole and I wanted to be whole again. And my niece came over one day and for tea and she said, Aunt Catherine, how are you doing? And I was like, well, I feel like there's a piece of me that's not healing and I feel like that's my soul. And she's like, oh, I have a great idea. You should take yoga teacher training. I was like, no, I don't want to take yoga teacher training. I don't want to be a teacher anymore. But I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I signed up for yoga teacher training. And first and foremost, it has been the best decision I ever made in this entire process because a couple of things. I learned a tremendous amount in yoga teacher training, but also when I was in training, they discovered a metastasis in my right lung, and I had to have another surgery. And this time it was different because I had community of people who were lifting me up. I knew how to breathe, which I'd never known before. My body was stronger because I'd been doing yoga. I had all of these things behind me that helped me to get through that present moment of going into the surgery and experiencing the surgery and then wanting to get out of the hospital. And while I was there, the respiratory therapist came in and she had to listen to me breathe, and she, warmed up the stethoscope and put it on my back and said, take a breath in. And I breathed in, and she said, breathe out. And I let it go. And she leaned in and she said, you do yoga, don't you? I said, I do. And next weekend I'm graduating from my program, so I need you to let me out of the hospital. I need you to sign the papers. And she did. And I went home and I went back to training and all of the things. But what I realized then was that the tools that I had gathered, the ones that I want to help you learn today, were tools that were going to carry me forward forever in my life. And that I could do difficult things when I knew how to manage them. And so I became a coach, and I started working with people in my community and people online, and started sharing what I had learned, and the people I was working with started seeing that it was helping them as well. And so that's why I'm here today, is because I know that there are things that will resonate with you, things that won't. Will be things that you will take away from this, but they are things that really I have seen over and over and over in the people that I work with and the people that I associate with, that these tools work. And so I want to share them with you so that you can have that experience as well. So back to the sharing part. This is about living in the now and having grounding practices. So I sent everyone the copy of your workbook. If you didn't print it, that's okay. If you did, that's fantastic. I'm going to walk through it with you as we go through this, and then not necessarily have the time for you to do the full activities. There's some reflection activities in there. You can go back and do them because I'd like to give some time at the end for people to be able to ask questions if they have them. But talking about being here in the now is talking about mindfulness. And so there's mindfulness as in like, I'm aware of what's going on around me, but this is more of mindfulness of I'm aware of what's going on inside of me. And I know like one of the things that often comes up is aches and pains, and what is that? And so your mind becomes full of overwhelm and anxiety and questions and uncertainty. And first of all, I want to say that that's very normal. If you have not had that experience yet, maybe you won't, but it's pretty common for people to have this experience of what is that, and then become fearful as opposed to mindful. So mindfulness is that ability to notice. And noticing your physical self is one thing, but noticing your inner self, your emotional self, is something else. And so it's about if you're having a feeling, well, where is that feeling coming from? It's asking yourself, like, why am I feeling this? And then the feeling generally comes from a thought. Well, what is the thought that I'm having? And the thought comes from a circumstance. Well, what is the situation or the circumstance that's created that thought that is now giving me this feeling? That's the mindfulness piece, is being aware of what that feeling is and being able to identify it and know where it's coming from. So the most common reaction that people have is, or a situation that people have, is having to go for follow-up tests or scans or additional treatments or whatever the circumstances are. With scans in particular, and I'm raising my hand because it's only been a few years since I've learned how to manage that, but there's always that fear of, are they going to find something when, what's going to be learned from this test? And that's a feeling that comes up in the body of, maybe knots in your stomach, or maybe it creates a migraine headache, or just like the inability to function, because it can be debilitating. So when you're mindful of that, you can ask yourself, where is this coming from? Oh, because I have a scan coming up. And why is this making me feel this way? Well, because I'm afraid that they're going to find something. And when you are able to identify that, then you can bring in these tools that we're going to work with today to help you to get out of that space. I wish that there was a magic thing that we could do to just make that go away. It's not an instantaneous magic thing, but when you can use some of these tools today, it will help you to alleviate that. One of the things at our house that helped us to alleviate that was my husband and I started to notice that our anxiety would go up and we would get really edgy around each other. And, I already alluded to, it wasn't just until just a few years ago that we are like, what is even happening? And it was like, oh, I have a scan. That's why we're having this interaction with each other. We're like short tempered, or, I would be like, difficult to talk to because I was so inner focused. So by identifying what was going on, we were able to now say to each other, okay, we know where that is coming from and we know why that's happening. And now what are we going to do about it? So I'm using, there is a tool that you can use, and we'll do this right now. We'll do a bit of a quick version of it just because I want to be mindful of the time. But this is a mindfulness scan. So if you're starting to feel like things are out of control emotionally, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling that you can't settle, this is a really beautiful way to come back to yourself because it's very tactile. It's a sensory experience. So you can just sort of walk through this with me in your own space. If you are needing to get grounded, and by grounded, I mean like you need to come back inside of yourself instead of letting your thoughts and emotions run wild, here's something that you can do. You just notice 5 things that you can see. I can see my whiteboard. I can see my microphone. I can see my phone. That's 3. I can see my tea. That's 4. And I can see my cat's bed on my desk. So that's 5 things that I can see. So now I see things around me. Things that you can touch. I can touch my hair. I can touch the papers on my desk. I can touch my desk. If you're outside, I could touch the grass. I don't have grass in here, but I have like a bookmark that a friend made me. I can touch that. So now I have that tact. I can touch my own fingers. I can touch my shoulders. I can put my hands on my heart. Like that's touch. So you're creating a connection between your brain and your body. And that starts to create safety because now, okay, I'm present. I know where I am. I'm here right now. 3 things that you can hear. I can hear my cat outside of my door, desperately wanting to come to our party. I can hear my own voice, and I can hear the hum of the lights around me. Things that I can smell my hairspray, and I can smell my cinnamon chai tea. And then something that I can taste the tea in my mouth because I just had a drink. So those sensory moments bring you back to yourself so that you can be present and you can, it's very self-soothing to notice and to be able to, even if you just touch your fingers, or like I said, you put your hands on your heart, or whatever it is, it is a soothing technique to say, I am here and I'm grounded and I'm safe in this moment. And it can also serve to take you out of that I have an appointment tomorrow, next week, whatever feeling, and bring you back to right now, which is what we're talking about, is how to be here right now. Sorry, did I see a question? Close that. Did anyone have a question about that? Okay. Perfect. So the next piece of this whole living in the now, these grounding practices, is again connecting with your body. So I think maybe you can see a theme here, that this is really about this physical awareness of self. Gentle stretching is a great way to be connected to yourself. So if you do yoga or Tai Chi, if you're a runner, you know what the rhythm of breath in a practice can keep you focused on where you are. So I teach yoga to a group of ladies once a week, and we do a lot of breathing, and I help remind them to breathe as we're moving through the poses and even through the stretches. So this idea of this, the picture, she's sitting on a mat. You don't have to be on a mat. You can be on a chair. You could be on the grass. You could be on the beach, whatever, wherever you want to be. Um, it's just about opening space in your body. So even just, opening the side of your neck, every time you open space in your body, it creates room for energy to flow, but it also helps to bring in calm. It helps to bring you back to we call it homeostasis, right? Back home to your center. And we alluded to it earlier that exercise there's a lot of research coming out right now around exercise and cancer and exercising during cancer treatment. So it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, running. It doesn't have to be Pilates class. It can simply be just stretching your body, even just, hands and your jaw, like just gentle stretching movements that are going to help you to release any tension in your body. And if you've had surgeries, there may be scar tissue buildup. And so, like, working into that scar tissue, maybe getting some support with that from a massage therapist or an osteopath, someone you're comfortable with, but releasing that scar tissue, even by doing some gentle movement and stretching, can help as well. And then in your workbook, there is a journaling question here for you. Journaling, when I was first diagnosed, people were really like lovely. They were like, you should journal. It's like, no, I don't want to write about this. I don't not want to write about this experience, because I thought that journaling was, today I got up and I managed to, have a shower and go downstairs and my husband made me a smoothie. I thought that it was that. But what I have discovered is journaling is, for me, is not that. Journaling for me is asking myself a question or listening to a thought that comes up. And this is a practice. It may not be immediate for you, but it's something that you want to maybe reflect on. And sometimes my question for myself is just, what can I do for myself today to make sure that I experience joy? Or sometimes it's just like, how am I going to shift my energy today? How am I going to, get through today when I feel like I have so many things to do? And by asking myself that question, then I can sit and I think about it. I have other practices that I do around it that might be a little bit woo-woo for some of you. I like to draw oracle cards. They're not tarot cards. They're not to predict my future. They're oracle cards that just help me to have a reflection question in front of me. But then I think about it like, okay, how can I find more joy today? Well, here's something that I've done before. Here's something that I could do. So the journaling part, it's different for everyone. Some people draw, their journaling is doodling. You may want to keep a journal that is your first, next, last of your process. Or maybe you want to get curious about the thoughts that come up in your mind. Why am I thinking that? Where is that thought coming from? And how am I going to manage that thought? What can I do to navigate that thought? So the journal prompt in your little book is, what does being fully present mean to me right now? And so if you want to take a moment and just make a quick note, if there's things that come up, it's always a good idea, in my opinion, to write things down as you think of them. And so feel free, obviously, to take any notes throughout all of this. But if there's something that's coming up for you right now of what does being fully present mean for me right now, then just make a note of that. And maybe go back later and have a look at it. Any questions? No? Okay.
I bought a writing book, Catherine, and it's fairly empty. I'll be honest with you. I've tried back and forth and just kind of figuring out what that journaling's all about. But once in a while I pull it up and I do jot some things down.
Can I ask, and you don't have to answer, but can I ask, after you jot some things down, does it shift anything for you? Do you feel anything from it?
Good question. I think it probably does. I've never really just sat and thought about it, but yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah. So that might be some nice homework for you, the teacher and me giving you some homework. But the next time you journal, like notice, maybe you can notice, like, has that shifted anything? Or sometimes it's just a brain dump, right? Sometimes it's just I need to get
Yeah.
this out of my head.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Catherine. It's
Good to
been a
see
while.
you.
You look fabulous.
As do you. Thank you.
Oh, I just came from the gym. I'm like sweating. Um, I can comment on journaling that for me, it's a really good process of it's a good way to let me process what's inside, because it gets chaotic and
Hmm.
you get stuck in those thoughts, right? Where you're going, whoa, now what was I going to do? What did I say? And it lets some clarity come through from underneath. So I use it a lot. It's a good tool for me. I know it's not for everybody, but it's for me. And when you ask what does being fully present mean to me right now, it does not mean eating my lunch while I'm on this call, but if you don't mind, I will.
You do whatever you need to do. It's good. That's part. Food is part of being present. Actually, we're going to talk very briefly about food as we go forward. But thank you for sharing about the journaling. It's such a different experience. Like cancer is its own experience in its own way for each person because we're so individual. And so to be able to apply a tool in a way that feels good in your body and in your mind and in your heart is beautiful. It can be very reflective and it can make you go, "Oh, I didn't realize I was thinking that. And now I know."
It does that for me. It lets like the clarity just come up and show itself, and all the other stuff can fall away, and I can just sit with whatever that piece is.
Beautiful. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Mhm.
All right. So that is our getting grounded. That's this idea of really just settling into where we are in our body. So we're moving a little bit into the future pacing here, just talking about the future that you can create. And I already addressed like the future for you might be this afternoon, it might be tomorrow, it might be a week from now. It's what feels comfortable for you, but it's also interesting to notice like why does that far future make me feel uncomfortable? What is it about it? And are there things that I can do to make that more comfortable for me? So this whole piece around moving into the future is you know, do you want to move forward in fear or do you want to move forward in hope? That's the answer. Like nobody wants to be afraid. None of us asked for this. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants to be afraid. But also, I've had clients say like they don't really even like that idea of hope. It's like hope feels like, well, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I like to live in certainty. Like I believe 100% that I am healthy and I'm going to stay healthy and I'm going to keep moving forward as a healthy and happy person. But when we can talk to ourselves about like, am I feeling fear or am I feeling hope? And why am I feeling this? It helps us to face uncertainty because let's all be honest, cancer brings a lot of uncertainty of everything. I'm not even going to make a list. We all know there's a lot of uncertainty. But if you can start to reframe in your mind how you approach it, then you can start to take back some of the control. There are things that we can't control. There are things that we have to hand over to to your God, your spirit, your doctor, whomever you're handing things over to. But there's a lot of things that you can control. And this is a really important thing that I see people missing often is they think that they have just lost all control and they don't know what to do. So you can make small daily choices that you control and that helps to build this momentum in yourself, this momentum of moving forward one step at a time. And that in turn can help you to create your life right now. When you are envisioning a future from a place of self love, I love myself enough that I'm going to bring in these practices or these routines into my life so that I can feel confident in today and comfortable in the moving forward. That is life-changing work, because it's taking you from where you are now and creating this vision of where you want to be, and then creating the bridge on how you're going to get there. And the bridge doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple acts like, I'm going to eat certain foods. I'm going to have a certain mindset when I do things. I'm going to see people that I want to see. I'm going to not see people that I don't want to see. Boundaries are our friend. I am going to create momentum in my life by building a routine. My routine every morning is I get up, I make a cup of coffee, I get out my journal, I get out my oracle cards, I listen to a little mindfulness practice, and then I reflect on it. And then I go for a walk. Like that has taken time for me to build that. But now, because I'm a creature of habit, it's like, well, that's what I do every day. And that creates momentum for me because it also puts me in a mindset moving forward. So it creates life for me right now, but it also helps me to keep moving forward in my life. So I hope that makes sense to you. So I may have skipped myself ahead early. Yeah. The question is about finding that thing that's going to root you, and the thing that's going to help you to rise, and the thing that's going to help you thrive. So I'm going to go back here for, I'm going the wrong way. Oh no, friends, my thing is skipping the wrong way. There we go. I'm not there yet. There. Whew. I love technology. It's great. So this is about like really going inside of yourself to find what you need to move forward, take back the control that you're looking for, and then embrace that as part of you, who you are now, but also who you are moving into the future. That's that. So if you are comfortable with it, again, the invitation is to not, if it doesn't feel good for you. But I would like to offer, if you get curious about it, giving it a try. You can always come back to your breath. If you don't, if it's not working for you, you can always put me on mute if it's not working for you. But this is just about a visualization activity moving forward. And it's kind of getting comfortable with that idea that I can create my own future. So if you are comfortable with it, I would love to invite you to close your eyes or divert your gaze. Just find what feels comfortable for you. And I'm just going to take you through what we call future pacing, and just allow you to feel that future pacing as we go through this. So just imagine yourself 1 week from now. We're not going to go too far out. Just imagine yourself 1 week from now. And just notice yourself. Just take a visual of yourself. Where are you? Maybe what are you wearing? Are you with other people? What does it feel like right now? And notice where you are. Like your subconscious has intentionally put you in a space. Where are you? Is there anyone with you? What are you doing in that moment? Just 1 week from now, what are you doing in this space that you've created for yourself? How are you feeling in that space? And is there something in particular that stands out for you? And just make a note, just a little note in your mind of what it can feel like 1 week from today. And then I'll invite you to take yourself just 1 month out from today and go through that same visualization. Where are you? Is there someone with you? What are you doing? How are you feeling? And and what stands out for you in that moment. Don't forget to breathe. Take a nice breath in and out. And then allow yourself to instinctively, intuitively pick your next timeline. We've done a week, we've done a month. How much farther out do you want to go? And take yourself again through this process of where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? And how does it feel? Take a nice breath in and out. And is there something that stands out for you in that moment? Maybe even take a moment as we're still sitting here in this pause to just walk yourself through that timeline that you just created. And can you see or feel any shifts from 1 week to 1 month to your third piece of your timeline? And maybe they're not shifts that are happening right now, but they're shifts that you want to create in yourself. Take a breath in and out. And I'm going to invite you to just take your thumb and touch each of your fingers. Or just bring yourself back to your physical self, just going one finger at a time. Maybe you want to start to blink your eyes and just gently come back into the space. And I'd like to give you a moment if there's things that came up for you in that visualization, if there's things that you saw, there's the future pacing piece that you want to reflect on, just take a moment to write any notes or draw any pictures or anything that came up or through for you. And if you have any questions, we can pause here, take a moment for questions. Okay. Any comments? Anybody want to do any sharing? I know that's a big ask. You don't have to. Anyone want to share anything that came through for you when you were doing that? Or how you feel after doing a visualization?
I mean, I'll share. I found that each step kind of had the same feelings. Now that's coming off of 1 week I'm going on vacation, so I'm a little more excited about next week. But I mean, my thoughts were being present, being happy, being with family, and living life. I mean, that's kind of the thoughts that I had for each one of those stages, which I found interesting. Because even if I were to look 6 months out, 1 year out, and I'm still in treatment, so it was a consistent messaging, and I felt good opening my eyes, and yeah, I feel good about the whole exercise.
Thank you, Mike, for sharing that. That's beautiful. I love it. And so interesting that it was a consistent emotion and feeling across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're going on vacation.
Yep.
It's very exciting.
U.S. Thanksgiving. So.
Yes, true. That we have one for sure American friend here today. Her Thanksgiving is coming up. Anyone else have anything that they wanted to share about that? An interesting thing to reflect on is, did that make me comfortable or uncomfortable? And if it made you uncomfortable, why did it make you uncomfortable? And you can carry that forward with, if you want to jot that down, just to reflect on as we move forward. So we're doing really well for time. I am notoriously late, and we are like right on track because I get talking because I love to talk. Okay. So this is the personal reflection that is available to you in your workbook. What do I want to carry forward from this vision into my daily life right now? So this is the bringing it back to the now piece. So we're starting to think ahead, but keeping ourselves grounded here. So what do I want to carry forward from that vision into my daily life? And maybe it's a specific place that you were, or a specific person that you were with, or a specific feeling that you had. And you can go back, as I said, afterwards and really reflect on these questions, because introspection is actually a beautiful gift to help unpack all of the things that are happening in life in general, really. So this is a 3-step strategy that I've used for myself. I use this with my clients, and it's really, we've already touched on this a little bit about this idea of rooting and rising and thriving. So we're just going to come back to it for a moment, that this rooting piece is creating your foundation so that when things happen, when the wind blows, you can feel like, okay, I've got things that I can come back to. I know who I am. I know where I am. I have strategies. I feel secure in myself. I know how to do things that are going to calm me. This foundation is a really integral piece because, as we move into the rising piece where we're sort of growing our branches, when the storms come, it's that coming back to the roots, just like a tree. That root in the ground keeps the tree strong, nourishes the tree. It's where it gets its nutrients from the ground. It's the same for you, that your roots are going to nourish you and allow you to rise. And so the rising part is the things that we've been doing already in this workshop, is those intentional actions of breathing, of the sensory walkthrough that we did, of the journaling questions, of even thinking about, the morning routine. I shared my morning routine with you. That is an intentional action. I also notice when I don't do my intentional action, how I feel for the rest of the day. I feel a little off. It's like, no, that's the thing I do to ground myself at the beginning of every day. And if I don't do it, it feels like I've forgotten something, or like a piece is missing. So each intentional action is going to allow your tree to grow. It's going to allow you to grow as a person. And everything that you learn becomes a branch, and every little piece on those branches, those little leaves, are all part of this whole process of coming back to the self. And when you can do that, then it becomes this piece of thriving. And that's my mantra. That is my motto. If you've read my book, there's a whole chapter in there about how I even came to this idea of living with cancer and living and thriving with cancer. This is about living a joyful life, because there are lots of hard moments. And I want to say I'm blessed to be 10 years out from my original diagnosis, but I still have moments. But I know how to manage them. I know how to recognize them, and I know what to do with them when they come up. And I choose to live a joyful life right now, as opposed to allowing a diagnosis to weight me down. I did a podcast episode on, I called it Good Grief. And it is a moment. This is probably one of the biggest things that comes up for me. I'm just going to stop and tell you a little story. This is probably one of the biggest things that comes up for me, is these moments where it's almost like I can forget what I've been through, my story, that I have a metastatic diagnosis, and just be present in the moment. But we had a specific moment that I talked about in the podcast, where I was away with my husband, and we were sitting in a place that I'd never thought I was going to be. And it was so beautiful. We were in Manchester, England, and there's all these old buildings and people everywhere, and our food had come, and it was just like this amazing sensory experience. And then I got really sad, And my husband looked at me and he said, "Oh, I just saw that happen." And it's like, yeah, like it was this moment and I couldn't name it. I said, I'm feeling really sad. I'm feeling this grief in this moment of joy, but grieving what might have been. And it was just a flicker. It was just like this tiny moment, but it was this moment of grief, like if things had gone differently. And my husband is just such an amazing human. He said, "Oh, you're feeling good grief. You're feeling the grief of the joy of being here, but also at the same time grieving what might have been, but also what isn't." It's like this convoluted, complex emotion. But because we could identify it, it was like, oh, I understand now why I'm feeling this. And I don't have to feel this way, but I'm also allowed to feel this way. And so it just passed. It was like just this little flicker, and then it went away. And I was able to move forward. But I wanted to share that with you just because it is this whole idea of, what can I bring into my life right now that's going to keep me grounded here, but also is going to help me in the future.
Hey, Catherine, can I just ask a question based back to the intentional actions that you were talking about?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you just elaborate more on that? I think that's an important piece that I just want to better understand.
Yeah, intentional actions. So I intentionally look at food and say, am I going to eat you or am I not going to eat you? And because it's so easy to choose the hamburger over the salad, but I also know that when I intentionally choose food that is more healing for me or soothing for me, I will feel more confident and calm in myself. I am getting better at it. I've had a lot of food anxiety because was afraid for years of what do I put in my body? And if I eat something, is it going to hurt me or is it going to help me? And so that's why my brain went right to food. It's that intentional choice. And also with that is the decision, okay, I'm going to eat the hamburger. I don't eat hamburgers, but I'm going to eat the hamburger and I'm going to celebrate the hamburger and I'm going to celebrate the joy that the hamburger is bringing to me right now. And I'm going to intentionally decide that this is not a problem. So that's one example.
But you start your day with like intentional actions to get you rolling. If you miss out on something, you don't feel right for that day. Is
I
that what I
feel a
got?
little off. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry if that's what you were looking at. Yeah. I start with making my coffee and putting like my little magic collagen powder and mushroom powder in my coffee. And then my journaling and my reflection and a little bit of meditation. And meditation for me isn't intentionally sitting on a mat with my eyes closed. And, meditation for me is also my walk. That's part of the whole process. But I do notice if I don't do it, it's like, I feel like I missed an important part of myself and of my healing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
And the food piece is also because I do think we have intentional choices that we can make. And each intentional choice that we make builds on ourselves and our own healing process and allows, speaking from the I can find a great deal of peace in knowing that I am intentionally making choices that are in my best interest.
Right.
And that's where the choice piece is really like you have lots of choice that you can make, which is ultimately control that you can take back in your life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So we went through that. So when you have a moment in your book, there is another reflection page for you. Or if you want to just make some notes right now of like, what is one root, one rise, and one thrive action that you could start taking today? So the rooting, remembering, is building that foundation. So what's one foundational practice that you can start as soon as we get off of this call? And then what's one rising, which is those intentional choices that you can start making today. And then the thriving piece is the choosing joy, the choosing that, how can I choose joy starting today? Where can I choose joy? Where can I choose? Or maybe it's gratitude. We'll talk about gratitude in a moment, but where can I bring these things into my life that lift me up? And I can start doing that right now. So just reflect on that and go back and revisit that page, because I think that's a really important part of that piece I was talking about where are you now and where do you want to be and what are you doing to get there? That even just writing those 3 intentional actions that you can start right now will help you to frame what else you can do. This is one of my favorite practices. I don't know if I think perhaps some of you already practice it. I know one person does. But this is about personal mantra. Now, mantra is more of a yogic term. You might want to call it your personal affirmation statement or your motivation statement. Whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. We don't need to label everything. But what I wanted to invite you to consider is creating your own positive affirmation statement, your own mantra. And what's unique about the one that I'm inviting you to get curious about is that it's not just about like one of my very favorite one is I'm a beautiful miracle. That is my very favorite personal mantra. And another one that I use all of the time, particularly when I'm going in for scans, I say it repeatedly in my brain is I am happy, I am healthy. I am happy, I am healthy. And I have other ones and it varies from day to day. But the difference in this one, for the purposes of what we're talking about today, is taking one that is about the present and blending it with a future pacing mantra. So the example on the screen is I breathe in today and I step into tomorrow with hope. That might be a little bit like big for you. You can make it smaller. You can make it more personal. There's some other examples in your book. I choose peace today and trust the path ahead. So it's where am I right now and where do I want to be? And then bringing those 2 things together. And I have people sometimes write them on sticky notes and put these things around their house. So I am about have visual. I'm a very visual person. So if you write these things on sticky notes, I had one lady that she put them all over the place. They were on her bathroom mirror when she woke up in the morning and went to the bathroom. It was the first thing that she saw. When she got in her car, she had one on the dash of her car. She had one in the cupboard where, you open the to get your teacup or your coffee cup out. And she had these affirmations around her house because she needed that daily visual reminder that she's here in the now and creating a present, or she's here in the present and creating a future for herself. It's a fun little activity, actually. My kid came home one day, my son, and I didn't know that he had done this. He was home visiting and he wrote sticky notes for me and put them all over my house. They were all these positive affirmations about me because my sons were teenagers when I was diagnosed, and they walked this walk with us, very present. And so it was beautiful to come home. There were sticky notes all over the walls, all over the door frames, all over the cupboards. But it was just this reminder of sometimes we need to see it in order to internalize it. Sometimes we need to read it in a book or write it in a journal. We need that tactile experience, or we need that visual experience. So in your workbook, there is a space for you to create a personal mantra, and maybe you want to put that on sticky notes and put that around your space to remind yourself that you are in fact a beautiful miracle. It's true. I told you so. Okay. This is also, you can be like, I know you say that about every one of them, but this is like really, really one of my favorite practices. And it's a really intentional and reflective practice. So you probably have heard people talk about gratitude practices and about this idea of, that's not an idea. I think it's true that when you practice gratitude, you change your energy, you shift your mindset. Things start to move when you are grateful. And that's not always easy when things are feeling difficult. I've had people say to me, how can I be grateful when I have cancer, when I'm feeling like horrible all of the time? But I want to offer that there's always things that you can be grateful for. I remember my first shower after a big surgery, and I was just so grateful for a shower. I was like, oh, this is the best. I haven't had a shower in like a week. Just it doesn't seem like a big thing. Or even like I'm grateful that I can get up and put my feet on the floor. I'm grateful that I can walk around the block. Like those are my post surgical moments when things feel like they're at their most difficult, or when going through treatment. I'm grateful that I can sit on the couch and relax, that I don't have to push myself because my job is to heal right now. I'm grateful that I have the space to be able to do that. Not everybody does. Some people's lives look very different when they're going through the treatment process, depending on their circumstances. But where I'm going with it is that even in spite of whatever your circumstances are, there's always something to be grateful for. I've got a little like sunshine coming in on me over here. I'm backwards. The sun is starting to come through my window, and it's my reminder that it's a gorgeous day outside. And when we are done here, I will go outside and be grateful for the sun, because my friend Debbie from the United States, winter is coming. Debbie lives in northern United States, so she knows. She's not like way down in Arizona. She knows winter. All right. I love this practice. If you would like a different version of it, I actually have a physical version of this, like a yoga version of it that you can do. But so you can send me a message, send me an email if you want me to send you like the handout of how you actually do the yoga process with it. But this is about a 3-part gratitude practice. So the first part is the letting go. And this is, I think, probably one of the most powerful things that you can do when your life has been turned upside down, when, the people you thought were going to show up didn't, the people you didn't know were going to show up did, when things get challenging, when you are having conflict with yourself, with someone else, when your cat is just making you crazy, scratching at the door. Like, it's about letting things go. And so in my practice, I do things in threes. Threes is a spiritual holy number, right? So letting go of 3 things. So it might be letting go of the fact that I had an interrupted sleep last night, and I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm letting that go. Letting go of, I'm not going to go into details, letting go of some emotional intensity that we have in our household right now around other people's life circumstances. But I got to let that go because I can't carry that inside of me. It's not mine to carry. And sometimes it's simple things like I'm letting go of a person who is like just making me crazy right now. I'm just letting that go. I don't have to own that. So 3 things and then I just like in the yoga practice, I literally like sweep it away, or you can brush it off your arms, shake it off your hands, and add that physical piece to it. It kind of up levels the practice. And then from the letting go part, I move into the gratitude. I always say I'm grateful for my husband and my sons and the beautiful family that we've created together. I am grateful for my medical team and the care that I have received to help me to be happy and healthy right now. And then some other thing, like I'm grateful for the sun that's coming in through my window, knowing that I'm going to be able to go outside in 45 minutes. And then it moves. So we've moved from like, I don't need this anymore. I got to let that go. And sometimes I say the same thing, like for many, many days, just to be clear. It's not like, oh, I said it and it's gone. It's like, no, I'm need to really work on this piece of letting this piece go. And then bringing into my heart center. And you can put your hands, on your chest when you're doing it, like really into your heart of like, I am so grateful. And there are studies around gratitude and the vibrational energy that gratitude creates and the healing energy that it can create within your body. And just it makes you happier to find things to be grateful for, especially when things feel hard. And then the next piece is intention setting. So for my husband, because we've done this practice together, intention setting is like a list. Today I'm going to mow the lawn, clean out the garage, and go for a run. For me, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. That is his intention of how he is living his life. For me, my intentions are more like I'm going to go for a long walk and I'm not going to listen to an audiobook. I'm going to merely be present with myself. I'm going to make myself and the family a healthy dinner tonight. I'm going to look at that vacation that I want to book and be happy and able to celebrate that I can even think about that. Like just it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be fluffy, it can be serious, it can be like big, it can be small. Sometimes the intention is just to do the gratitude practice. I'm going to do my gratitude practice. I'm going to do my journaling. And that letting things go and then filling your heart back up with the things that make you happy and then creating that forward pacing, future pacing space is very, very powerful and is a really beautiful practice. So again, if you would like to see the physical yoga side of it, I'm not going to demonstrate for you right now, but I'm happy to send you that. Just shoot me an email and I'll send you the copy of that. Any questions about the things that we've talked about just before we wrap up the me talking all the time and get into the you questions? Or stories or anything? Oh. Okay. Then I will just take you back here for just a moment. And I said, you can contact me. There's my email address, hello@katherinewhite.coach. If you have any questions after this, anything that comes up for you that you want to talk about. I also have my website and I just put my Instagram on there because mostly I'm on Instagram @katherinewhite.coach. If you're not already on Instagram and following me, you're welcome to. And I want to thank you for taking the time to be here today, to take care of yourself and to be curious about what's available to you. And I love this quote that I put down here, that healing happens one breath, one choice, and one moment at a time. It is a process. It is not something that necessarily happens quickly. I've been working for 10 years to be where I am now. That doesn't mean that you're going to have to wait 10 years to be here. But what that means is that you can create your tools and your strategies starting today, because now you have some, and you can intentionally invite them into your life and just allow them to nurture you. Allow yourself to nurture yourself. I always say to the teenagers that I work with, no is a complete sentence. So if you don't want to do something, you can say no. And you don't actually have to justify things. You really don't. You get to decide what feels good for you. And I don't think that you need to explain yourself to other people. That is self-compassion too, because sometimes we get caught up in trying to get everyone else to understand, but we don't always understand. We don't always understand ourselves, let alone try to get other people to understand. So I am going to invite you to ask any questions that you might have, any comments, any stories.
Well, I don't mind talking. So I'm 3 years and 3 months into this walk. I do like how you put the walk. I have read your book and I like a lot of your message, Catherine, which you know about already. I'm coming down. I was in a valley up until a couple weeks ago. I was cancered out. It was like enough was enough. And I tried ignoring it, and I think it backfired. So I think your timing with your workshop. I did see my therapist last week as well, just trying to get out of this funk that I was in. And I think in what you do with learning to thrive with cancer, like we can't ignore it. We're in this, unfortunately. And being with 6 people on the phone right now that are in it together, we know we share the same experience because you can't share it with someone that doesn't have cancer or hasn't had cancer. So I really like the idea of just kind of using your model to get back into the reality. I like the term grounded. Get grounded. Here's the reality. Understand where I'm at. I do like the intentional actions. Get into a routine and start kicking some ass and getting back into more of a positive mindset because I do believe, hey, our bodies are doing things that we can't control. We're fighting it the best that we can, but it does start with them. The power is in the mind. It
Yes.
is what it is. So if I can control my mind, and if I can use your exercises to help get there, yeah, that's really, really key to me. So I thank you for this and this well-timed workshop in my life, anyways.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad to hear that you're on the other side of the valley, that the valley can be a very difficult place to get out of. And so you have support, which is fantastic. And you showed up here for yourself today, and now you have more tools. So thank you for sharing that. Um, yeah, it's a weird space to be in. And it's a weird space, whether you're newly diagnosed or in the throes of it, or, past, which, as I said, with metastatic disease, I'm never really past it. It's always sort of back here, but
Mhm.
it's that idea of having those intentional actions, like you said, and some control. And control doesn't have to be like controlling. Control can be, control is intentional. I am intentionally choosing XYZ.
Yeah, it's like I haven't exercised a ton. I know exercise is good. Sometimes you're too tired to exercise when you're in treatment. But I mean, yeah, I got to the gym today, and I know if I can do that, I'm going to feel better. So back to that intentional action, I got to get my ass to the gym because I know it's going to make me feel better, even though sometimes when you're at the gym, you're not feeling better. So
Yeah. And just moving in the way that feels good in your own body. Like,
yeah,
just, might not be some serious deadlifts. Like, it might just be stretching. But also, I love that you're leaving your house to do it, because now you are, if you're able, not everybody is, but you're able to get into a space with other people, which
right,
creates sort of a sense of normalcy also.
for sure. Yeah.
Good for you. I don't leave my house to exercise. Do it in my own space. But that's what makes me feel good. I'm more comfortable doing it that way. And everybody's choice is different. But I will come back to reminding everyone that there are many studies that are coming out now around exercise and having cancer and cancer treatment. And they're science based. They're not just anecdotal. There's lots of coming out talking about this idea that, for myself, everyone was like, oh, you need to sit. Like, oh, like it's in my book. I was like, tried to go for a run once, and my friends stopped and they're like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going for a run. And they're like, no, you need to be sitting and resting and not moving. Like, well, no, I'm still here and I still want to feel alive. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't my best run ever. It's like 200 meters before they stopped me. But I know that for myself, and then these studies that are coming out, that moving your body post surgery as best as you can within the parameters of, always listen to your medical team, and within what your body will allow you to do, is good. Our bodies are actually designed to heal. They can heal themselves when we support them and provide them with the tools that they need. And so these studies are saying, like, yes, exercise during treatment, exercise. There's a study that came out that's showed that women going through breast cancer treatment actually have better results when they are exercising. And I think in season 2 of my podcast, I interviewed a girl who was in medical school, and she talked about a study she was involved in, and they were studying women and how this exercise even mentally motivated them intentionally to keep moving their bodies. Anyone else?
I can piggyback on that because I'm like Mike, I like to talk.
I love it.
Excuse me. Um, I find that exercising really makes me feel alive and vibrant and my vitality and my strength. And then watching my body change is just for me, it's really empowering. It's just buzzes me so much. And I might not feel like having some really deep social connections in the moment. But if I go to the gym where I go like 4 times a week, maybe five, and exercise, then I get what I think of them as soft social connections. No,
Hmm.
people in my class or in the gym, they don't know that much about me personally. And so I'm kind of free, you know? I
Mm.
can just be there and say, hi, how are you? And you're so good. And it's so not blah, la, 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 la. And it doesn't have to be heavy and that worried, oh, how are you? I don't have to hear that, you know?
I love
It just,
that.
mm-hmm. It's like a soft social connection, but it still touches my heart and perks up that part of me, that social part. Yeah,
And you're just you. Like you
yeah.
said, like you don't have to, you're not in a space where if people don't know, then you're just Debbie at the gym, like just doing your thing like everybody else. And it is so freeing to be able to separate yourself from this physical story that's going on and to be able to put that away on a shelf for a little bit and just be the best version of yourself in that moment without that label and the look.
Wonder if anyone else would be willing to share how you feel about sharing your story with other people. And first, I'll go first. Um, I just have a little support team that I share what's going on with me because oh, oh, hi, how are you? Which, they're saying, do you have tumors? Are you is your hair going to fall out? All that stuff back there. Um, I just, that just really hits me in a bad place. And I don't know how other people feel or how you manage that. Is that a fair question to ask, Catherine?
Yeah. Does anybody want to speak to that?
You know, I will. I
Go,
got a
Mike.
Yeah, I got a small little family and friend team that I keep in the loop, like once every scan kind of idea. Just give them up to date what's going on, or if there's a significant trial or something I'm going to get involved with, I'll share that. But other than that, I'm an open book. If they if they wonder what I'm up to and they have questions about my health, they all know that they can reach out to me. But I think they typically don't. But yeah, yeah, like when I say small, I'm talking me under 10 people. I got like 4 or 5 friends and then 5 family members that I keep in the loop.
Do
So
more people know though
yeah.
about,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, more
yeah.
people. A lot of people know. And I think, I mean, I look pretty healthy. A lot of people don't even know I'm sick or in treatment right now. So I kind of just go with the flow.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
It is
Thanks,
a
Mike.
very personal decision.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a Facebooker. I'm not posting my story on every day what's going on. I know some people do that. That is not me. So.
When I was first diagnosed, I did put it on Facebook. Retrospectively, I don't know if I would do that again, but I have moved a lot in my life. So I have friends like all over the place and family, and it was just a way for me to say, here's where I am, here's what's going on. And I think at the time it was a calling in of support. It was like calling in people to just help me to understand, what was happening and lift me up. I did post things over the years and I have backed off of that. And I know some people are really, really public and they have entire Instagrams that are very much um, pictures of their process. I don't have many pictures of my process. I didn't feel that was necessary. It didn't feel genuine to me, but that doesn't mean that it's not for other people. It's really so personal who you call in and how
Yeah.
you want to navigate it.
Yeah, but I think didn't you write in your book, Catherine, about um you don't want people to know? Like so like if people get it and they understand cancer, it means that you have it. So you don't like my friends that don't have cancer, I prefer they just kind of they live their lives and they don't really pay much attention to my health. I think it's a healthier. I want them thinking about me when they are, but was that? I think you wrote something about that. I think for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. It's kind of a fine line. It's like, okay, I want people to know because I mean, for me, I had to leave my teaching job and I physically was not, if I went out in public, it was like that face where people are like, ooh. Um, but this is a conversation that comes up so much. Like you want people to know, but you don't want the pity that goes along with it. And also, I found that relationships changed because people they couldn't understand, they couldn't connect. And so, yeah, I talked about that in the book. Like the people that are in this space right now get it. Whatever we
Mhm.
say, whether it is their same
Mhm.
version of their story or not, they get it because I think you just, I don't know that I can verbalize or quantify or qualify that real root emotion that exists like down in your soul. It's the one that I can't really explain to people. But when someone else has, whether it's the same or different or not the same, but a cancer experience, there's just a little bit deeper level of like, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I
Well,
hear
and I
what you're
think the timing makes it so different too, right? When you're first diagnosed, everyone's all over. Hey, how you doing? Now, 3 years, 3 months later, people aren't looking and having that same connection.
yeah,
So,
that's interesting too. And I agree with you. And where I am, I don't, maybe it's because I'm just so public about it. Like I'm doing this and I have
what's your
my book and
business? And
my podcast. Um, but it's like I can't escape it. I went to get my hair cut the other day and all my stylist wanted to talk about the whole time was my work. And I was like, I just kind of want to not talk about this. Can we talk about the weather? Can we talk about anything else? But it's so that's just the reverse of it. But I think it's because I'm very public about it in you know the offerings that I have for people, which is I want to say is part of my healing process. It people are like, I don't know how you do what you do. Like, don't you get tired of talking? Well, yeah, I do get tired of talking about it. My husband gets really tired of talking about it, but it's also part of my healing because I learn like every time you share or even just you showing up here today is like, okay, there are people who still have this desire for more or for connection or for something else. And I've always been a teacher. I just feel like really called to do that. But at the same time, it's like, can we just talk about anything else?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a funny thing.
Mhm.
It's a funny thing. But
And think about something else too.
yeah, yeah,
Not have it back there. It's always back there.
yeah. And so that's where hobbies are great.
Yeah.
Going to the gym, like you said. I've just pulled out my knitting. I haven't knit for a few years. I knitted voraciously when I was in treatment because I needed to keep my hands busy. And
Mhm.
also I have to fix my curtain here. This is making me I'm a little toasty. It's going to change my light completely. Oh, look at that. I feel much better now. Sorry about that. We'll cut that out of the video. Um, I noticed the brain, my brain on treatment was like words. Words are hard. I can't find words. And I wanted to make sure that I kept a brain and body connection. So I was knitting and I've just pulled it back out, which psychologically I think feels like I feel like I'm in a good enough place that I can go back to something I was doing when I was in treatment. So I'm going to take up knitting again. That's my goal. Just something different. Yeah. Anyone else? I love the listeners. Thank you, listeners. It is good
I've
to,
got I've got one story to share just
yeah.
on a fun note. So gratitude. So I met with my therapist last week and we were talking about gratitude and being grateful. So her idea was, well, you drive your daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter, so I drive my 9-year-old daughter to school every morning. She goes, "Why don't you do it in the car with her?" So here I am trying to practice my gratitude, what I'm grateful for, but also what she's grateful for.
Mm.
And yeah, coming from a 9-year-old, it's pretty funny. She hasn't quite got the concept yet. She's not on board with it. So, come on, Dad, do we really got to do this? So I always pull something out from her. So
I love
it's
that.
kind of a fun little way to start the morning.
It's beautiful. And it is going to build a foundation for her that she will probably carry forward.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great note to end on.
That's kind of a fun one.
Yeah. Well, and we can model. There is so much that we can model for other people too. Of, you know, that's a whole other workshop. But let's just stick with the gratitude piece of just being, grateful for the things that we have and the things that we're able to do and the things that we're looking forward to doing
Yeah,
intentionally.
intention.
Intentionally. Yes. All right. Well, how about that? Little less than 90 minutes. Usually I run over. Just so that you guys are getting the first view of it. In January 6th, 7th, 8th, I'm running a 3-day workshop. But when I say 3 days, I mean like 1 hour at a time, not like 3 full days. That would be exhausting. But January 6th, 7th, 8th, I'm doing a 3-day workshop. I would tell you what it's called, but I haven't gotten that far. But it is similar in giving tools and strategies and going a little bit deeper into things. So keep an eye out for that. You are all on my email list, so you will see things coming out. If you need me, you've got my email address. And if you haven't listened to the podcast, there's been a couple of really good episodes. The fella last week from England talking about his stage 4 melanoma diagnosis and him moving forward. And the lady before that, a breast cancer surgeon who has breast cancer. Is very
I caught that. I caught that one. I want to get to the English guy next.
he's a hoot.
Uh,
he's 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 just a lovely man. In fact, he's running a workshop right now that I was going to go to, but our times overlapped because he runs fitness classes for people with cancer. I don't think he does them online. He's in Leicester, England, but he's doing a fatigue workshop because fatigue is a real thing. So check out the podcast if you haven't. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. Let's just take a breath before we leave. We'll leave on a little grounding note. So if you feel comfortable closing your eyes or just diverting your gaze, if you feel comfortable taking your hand to your heart and your other hand on top of that hand, this just creates a connection between your body and your breath. And just breathe into your natural rhythm of breath. Maybe just say one thing that you're grateful for right now in your mind. Just tell yourself one thing you're grateful for. And take a big breath in. Long, slow exhale. And when you're ready, just come back into the space. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lindsay. I see your comment in the chat. And have a beautiful rest of your day.